Hello and welcome to National Department of Joy. Oh my goodness, this is the first ever episode I've ever done, and it's the first ever YouTube thing I've ever done. But I'm BCB4, and I'm the host and creator of the National Department of Joy. I'm really excited to do this project with you all. I want to use my love for gaming and Planet Coaster and other video games that we'll play in the future together as a way to celebrate joy and to bring joy into the real world and talk about how we can do that. And I think that's really important in our world today, and I want to do that. And we'll get into that a little bit more later, but right now I want to talk about what we're doing today. So I play a lot of Planet Coaster. I think it's a fabulous game, and I really love building terrain. I love just the idea of making people maps to just go in and create whatever they want in. A lot of people spend a lot of time building these massive parks, but I find I look at them, I wander around them for a little bit, and then I don't use them. Like they're great, they're inspirational, but I don't use them. And I want to give maps for people to use to awaken some of their creative potential. And that's what we're doing here today. We're creating a tropical themed set of islands using actually the grasslands biome on a map created by a Steam user, I believe Badak Games, that they did to create an ocean, kind of a fake ocean biome. I did this originally in the tropical island, or the tropical biome, and it just wasn't really working because the tropical biome skybox has a bunch of mountains surrounding it, and you just kind of feel like you're in a big pond in the middle of an island. Whereas the grasslands one that's been created by Badak Games here, it just kind of works a little bit more, and it was also a lot less work on my part because I could just download it, it was ready. So thanks so much Badak Games for getting that done, super appreciated it. Really like the map, and I'm looking forward to creating it and letting you know what we've done with it. So here we go. We're just creating this map. We found this little janitor hanging out on the center island that Badak Games left for us, and we expanded a little bit. And I'm just looking around, imagining what's going to be going where, and I want to think about the scaling and balancing of islands. And we're just going to start pulling, not before we try and see if we can move the janitor. But here we go. So I use the flat tool a lot to just get landmass right away. Pulling out of this ocean takes a lot of time, whereas flattening to foundation, just it's near instant, right? So we just draw out, and we make a bunch of different shapes and kind of free form it. I don't really have a lot of plans when I go and do these buildings. We just do it. I don't have a layout in my head, especially because I'm doing naturalistic stuff. I think if I'm trying to do a very specific thing, I'm going to have to sit down and maybe actually plan it out. Some of these massive builds folks pull off is really requires forethought. Me, I just let the brushes do a lot of the work and my eyes, and I just kind of enjoy the great soundtrack that is Planet Coaster. Shout out to Jim Guthrie for Planet Coaster, and shout out to Ben Sound for the free royalty-free music that we're listening to as well. So thanks so much to bensound.com for that. So we have our third island. Yeah, we finished the larger island tonight, which I'm not really satisfied about. I think it looks very forced, and a lot of these do. But I think that's important, and it's an important thing to talk about the creative process. Not a lot of people realize is that you're going to have things look terrible when they're starting out. But the creative process is about building upon layers. It's building upon knowledge. And when you try to build, if you're expecting it to come out perfect within a few scrapes, well, I've got bad news for you, friend. So just like this is like, it doesn't look great, but if I just, walk away and say, well, that's that, I'm not going to achieve it, right? And it's about, so one thing we do in lots of different creative processes, we block it, we get the core concepts of what we're looking for, right? Have that down pat, then go into the smaller detail. If you build one thing at a time, one specific area, one specific thing. You'll get so bogged down in details sometimes that you'll never get the whole concept finished. So especially starting out, it's best to like really block things out to get that sense of grand scale. And maybe I am going into a bit of too much detail here. Like for example, I'm about to build a waterfall. But to sum up my point is that don't be afraid of a little bit of planning, but specifically making sure you take a step back to see the whole picture and not being bogged by the details too much, especially when you're just starting a creative project. Think big, think broad, answer a lot of questions as you can, all the questions, and don't let specifics stop you. So one thing I want to say is that we're using this waterfall here is being created out of assets from the Adventure Pack. I know it's DLC and people feel the way they feel about DLC, but I have to give it to Frontier for this one. Adventure was a lot of fun. It's a great pack, and especially the sculpting tools, or not the sculpting tools, but the assets and the different effects, as well as the structures and buildings. They're just so cool. They're fun to build with. They have lots of versatility, and I'm really excited to, especially in this map, really dig into some of their assets. So unfortunately for those of you who are watching that don't have this map has basically become like a DLC exclusive map. But if you haven't got it, I highly recommend Adventure Pack, especially, as being one of the first you look at getting, because it's really solid addition to the foundations of customization behind the game of Planet Coaster. Spooky is a good follow-up, and then I'd say like World's Fair and Vintage and Studios after that. But for me, if you like building natural environments, trees and flowers and stuff, it's definitely with Adventure Pack. So we're building this and we're just placing it. We also added the steam, but this mist, this colorable mist is from the Spooky pack, and it's a good little addition to the waterfall. I really liked adding both those in. And even the physics, you'll see that as I rotated the waterfall, physics were applied to it, so I could actually get this little kind of shooting out motion on the waterfall, which is really nice. I was not expecting that when I first used that asset, and I was very pleasantly surprised that there was actual physics applied to the water itself. It's really cool. So done with the waterfall for now. We just decided to maybe make this little cave, see what we can do, kind of inspire people to also, once they're playing this map, carve into it, go make a little mine, or maybe there is gonna be a mine or something hidden underneath all of this. If you take a look, I might have to turn off collision, and you might have to go find some secret stuff. But we're trying to create this little, I'm not gonna place this path, but we're definitely seeing how a path creates, and also the auto tunneling helps just kind of clear out some extra land that's just in the way, while doing it safely and making sure that a path can go there. So I kind of luck out with and max out with what I can do with the path right now. So I just make that like little stone pillar, make the cave a little interesting for now. We'll come back to these finer details, but we've got a carved out space, something to think about while I'm at work. This is me exploring with different options that I think I give up on. And we just patch up some of the mess we made by making that hole and kind of closing it up so it doesn't look so carved out. And I think done with that mountain for now, we move on to this next one where we, again, starting with the basic shapes, nothing perfect, no extreme details right away, just kind of sculpting it all out. And then we back to the flatten tool, stretch that out, pull, lots of them. I gotta give it, the flatten tool is one of my favorite tools to use. I think it's the tool I use the most in landscape sculpting. It just creates this great texture, and with some finessing you can just end up with really natural kind of feeling ridges and cliffs and plateaus. Um, Even on 100%, I find it's if you, again, letting the happy accidents guide you, letting the brushes kind of do the work, and you not holding on to one specific idea, you come up with some great ways. And that's another big part of the creative process. That when you're out there experimenting with ideas and how to express yourself, don't be afraid to let the tools and the art you're doing guide you through the process in a sense, and speak for themselves, because sometimes they, like, when you let go of your ambitions and you become a part of the tool and the tool becomes a part of you, you have this wonderful expression for yourself, and the tool truly does, and your art becomes a greater fundamental expression as to who you are as an artist and who you are as a human. So I encourage you, I'm gonna do this in this channel, is we're gonna talk about life, we're gonna talk about games, we're gonna talk about art, we're gonna talk about how to create, and the traps and fears I fall into in creating in my professional life and in my game life and in my creative game life and in my creative video game creative life, and all of these things that I'm trying to do with the skills that I have and the interests that I have and the ways that I want to express myself and the way I want to add to the world. So I hope you're coming for the video games. I hope you stay for the conversations. I hope we have more to share, more to experience and explore. But that's all for today. We softened those hills up just a little bit. We softened our hearts up to the ideas of new things on the horizons. Thank you so much for being here. I'm BCB4. This has been the National Department of Joy. I hope you have a great day. Stay happy, stay joyful, stay safe.